Hello everyone, my name is Dima, I'm the CEO of Moychay Netherlands, and today I will be answering some of the questions we've got during this year about the first ever tea culture club in the Netherlands. We'll be talking about business, we'll be talking about the customers and clients who come in here, but we'll also be talking about the most asked questions about this type of tea we're serving. So let's get right into it. Basically, my memory is not that good, so I'll be using, of course, a little list because, well, we got a lot. First one I get so often is, why are the teacups so small? And if you see here, I'm using a very basic, very light setup. I wanted to keep this a bit light. And it has a super small teacup. So for many people who like to drink a lot of tea, this is like, why would you use this, right? But there are many reasons. And once you try this, in my opinion, you can never go back. So basically, when you're drinking a good quality tea, you're able to smell and taste it much better. It's almost like if you have a cold, you almost cannot taste and smell, but now, like if you drink from this, it all opens. And also, if you drink from a big mug, you are not really mindful or mindfully present while doing all that kinds of stuff, right? So this is really helpful if you want to ground yourself. Next question. So often we also get the question, which water is the best, right? And there's so much answers about that. Basically, we use non-tap water because in Amsterdam, let's face it, the water is pretty hard, right? So we use bottled water, and we suggest to use that as well. But honestly, for you, if that means that it's too hard, right? If you would use bottled water, just go with tap water. Either way, it's better than drinking any other tea bag tea, you know? So the reason why we use non-tap water is because it opens up the taste of the tea much better. And honestly, if you're drinking a tea that costs like €1 per 1 gram, you don't want to let that extra quality go to waste. So if you have a special occasion, just like you would do with a bottle of champagne, get a nice bottle of water for your super nice tea. Another great question is, which tea is the most exclusive? Sometimes we have people here coming in which are like, what? How can tea cost so much? But they haven't even seen our age section yet, right? So tea can go from, in price, €3 per 50 grams up to €800 per 1 cake. If you're not familiar with tea cakes, those are called pu-erhs, and they are aged for sometimes above 50 years. We have some in our collection from 1957, 1967. I just recently drank a tea that comes from my birth year, 2001, you know? So you've got a lot of variety, and I would say that those actually are the most exclusive tea. However, you can also have different kinds of exclusivity. One kind of exclusivity is age, but another kind is rarity. So there's some tea plantations which only produce a very limited amount per year. And you can imagine that that is not a widespread product, right? So you could also call that exclusive. One such example is the Yongde County in China. So you will also see that it costs around €90 per 50 grams to buy that tea. But often the taste is also very exquisite. So you're not just paying for the rarity of it, you're really also paying for the quality of experience. They often can go longer, so you can infuse them more, and they're often also tastier. But that's of course completely subjective. Another question we get often is, what does a tea guide who works with us have to do to start working with us? Well, as you may imagine, this is not just, whoa, this is like an Albert Heijn job. If you're from the Netherlands, you know that's like a big supermarket. Of course not. So we have pretty interesting selection criteria. Of course, everybody who has or who wants to work here does need to have a passion for tea, and you cannot just start standing in the shop. You first have to go through a, well, I will not say the exact time because it always varies, but an extensive internship period that lasts longer than a couple of weeks, in which we learn and teach people a lot of information that we've garnered in our last 12 years of existence as a tea business, right? And Sergey, our founder, has traveled to China and also did his best to actually transfer that information to other people in the company. So it's our mission to really transfer that information to our guests. So whenever you come to us, we're always happy to share that info, right? And everybody who you will meet in the club is also quite knowledgeable. So those are the requirements. And of course, passion for tea and the passion to grow in it is key. So if you are such a person, even if you don't know much about tea, you can always reach out to us, because we're probably will be launching new projects in the near future. So new people who are passionate just like we are always welcome, especially in such an interesting market, right? Because let's face it, in the Netherlands, tea is just up and coming, and especially if you look at it this way. Another great question is, how much does it cost to start drinking tea like this? While you know that probably buying some tea bag tea can be literally 50 cents for 20 tea bags in the supermarket, that is of course incomparable with what you get with this experience. So it can be as much or as little as you want, starting from, for literally a beginner set, around 15 to 20 euros. And there already you have a lot of freedom of choice. So you can either opt for something like this, which is, in my opinion, perfectly fine if you're just starting out. In fact, I literally started out like this when I was 16 or 17. I was so fascinated by how this little thing worked. You would press the button and it would flow down beautifully. So that is like a really good memory. And this costs around 13 to 15 euro. For the tea, you can really start with something that costs 3 euro for 50 grams. And if you really feel like, wow, yes, I like this, you can always scale up. So some people think that tea like this just has to be expensive, but no, it doesn't necessarily have to be. And also something interesting, a little fact you do not need to forget, if you are infusing teas like this, you can actually infuse it multiple times. So even a cheaper red tea can be infused for 4 to 6 times in the Gong Fu way, right? But eventually you can also go into collector's items and collector's teapots, and those can run you quite a bit of money. But everything has to be worth it for you, right? So you just need to decide for yourself if you are ready for those steps. Sometimes people literally see a teapot or an item and they're like, yes, that's it. And you know, especially if you're in the shop often, you really recognize those moments. And it's really beautiful to see people ripen those teapots and really have them as kind of friends in the tea journey. And in China, actually, tea is a kind of, or teapots are kind of a heirloom. So they're often carried down from generation to generation, just like a katana would be, for example. So as you now know, tea can be very versatile. So this is an important one. Is it healthy to drink so much tea? Simple answer is yes, but always check your personal situation first. Basically, this is not like coffee. If you drink a lot of tea every day, you won't get super jittery like this, because there's different compounds in tea and coffee. Tea is much more, less sudden in releasing the thein, right? Because contrary to popular belief, there's often more thein in good tea like this, like compared to tea bags, because tea bags often don't have much thein because all the oils that were in there were broken during the processing. But because this is whole leaf, this actually has a lot of those compounds. You can keep drinking a lot of tea, but watch out with certain types like green tea, because those really can hype you up. And just do what's comfortable. You will definitely not experience any unhealthy side effects. And also, contrary to what people believe, actually drinking tea does not dehydrate you, but so does drinking coffee. So some people think that it's bad for you to drink a lot of those drinks because it's dehydrating, but that is not true, actually. You can maybe check the links down below for any sources. Ooh, and this is a nice one, I know, for some viewers, including me, because I researched that a while ago. Can tea help you burn fat? Well, let's get into it, because this is not a very easy tea, because of course it's not a miracle thing, right? You can't just keep drinking tea and it will magically burn away all your fat. What it does do in some cases is increase your metabolism, right? So basically green tea makes sure that your body starts working faster to burn fat if you're already exercising. So that's why a lot of athletes actually use it as a supplement before their exercises, right? So in that sense, yes, it does help you to burn some extra fat when you're exercising already, but it doesn't replace any exercise or any good food, okay? I want you to know that, because I don't want you to think this is a thing that cures everything. Well, that would be a placebo, all right? So on to the next question. And of course, we couldn't be left out without this one. What is the difference between tea bags and loose leaf tea? Well, difference is quite simple. If you tear open a tea bag, right, you will see literal powder fall out. And if you have got a really bad one, you'll actually also see little white, often granules basically of God knows what. Well, when I first did that, I put one on my mouth and it was actually coincidentally an Earl Grey, and I tasted the whole taste of this tea in this one little granule. So those are actually aromas and aromatizers, right? Even the premium tea bag brands use very often bad crushed tea powder, right? And they add some aromatizers to that. So basically the powder gives all the bitterness and hardiness that you find in often black teas, and the aroma granules give some kind of interesting side taste and smell, especially bergamot, for example. So just try it out, tear one open like that. And if you see loose leaf tea, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the Chinese, it can also be from other countries, you'll see that there is a whole leaf, right? And instead of the taste coming from those aromatizers, it actually comes naturally from the leaf itself, which is quite valuable if you are into good taste instead of something artificial. And of course, loose leaf tea differs in quality. It's not like every loose leaf tea is good. Keep that in mind, because some countries, oftentimes it's Africa, have tea plants which have been kept in conditions of, well, complete submersion into sun, right? So you can imagine what happens to a plant if it's completely, well, in the sun all the time. It basically burns down to a crisp. So you could literally do this and it crumbles. Compared to different habitats like Taiwan and China, where it's high mountainous tea, high mountainous tea is very much more delicate, you know? So that is, you could say, better. But everything, again, comes down to personal taste, and it's very hard to say this is better or that is better. It's always very personal and down to the situation. And the most important question of all, where can you find the best tea? Well, that's also very, very hard to answer, but not really. If you want to find some teas which are not just tea bags or just like flavored, you can always check out our site, where we have around 250 teas right now, and we will have more and more coming in basically every month. You can also always check out our offline tea culture club, which is now in Amsterdam, where we will gladly let you taste and smell the teas we have in stock. So if you want to get the full experience, really recommend you visit us right here. And our tea guides will be super happy to help you choose the tea that fits you best, because of course 250 teas and navigating them all can be quite intimidating, but we're here to help you. And with that being said, I would like to thank you for watching this video. If you have any other comments or questions, please leave them down below, because I'll be very happy to make a part 2. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.